According to our textbook, a computer program is just a collection of statements or steps solving some problem that needs to be changed into a language that the computer can understand. We're going to find out that a computer language or a programming language is just a way that we as humans talk to computers so that we can tell them what to do. If you remember, computers' basic primary language is machine language. It's binary, ones and zeros, the presence or the absence of electricity. Well, I don't speak binary, so we have to have some way to take the human language that I speak and convert it into machine language so that the computer can understand it. And there are several different ways that we can do that. One is an interpreter and one is a compiler. Imagine that you spoke Spanish and I came up to you on the street and I said, I'm going to give you a phrase and I want you to tell me how to say it in Spanish. It might be difficult for you to do that on the fly. That's what an interpreter does. It takes our computer language or our human language and it converts it line by line by line into a language that the machine can understand. Compare that to a compiler. If I were to call you the day before and I said, here's a phrase that I would like you to convert into Spanish. And then the next day I came up to you and said, okay, did you get the message that I sent you? Did you have a chance to convert it into Spanish? Now tell me what it says. If I gave you advance notice and I gave you the whole entire statement and I gave you the chance to convert it, that is what a compiler does. It takes the entire program and it converts it as a whole, each line by line, into a language that the computer can understand. So if I were to ask you how many different spoken human languages there are, what would you tell me? Well, if you did a Google search on it, you would find out that there are somewhere around 6,900 spoken human languages. And believe it or not, the most widely spoken language is Mandarin Chinese, followed by Spanish, then English, then Arabic, then Bengali. Those are the top 5 spoken human languages. So how many programming languages or computer languages do you think there are? You might be inclined to say 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, but if you did a Google search on that, you would also find out that there are dozens and dozens and dozens of them. I'd be inclined to say hundreds of programming languages. So what is the best programming language to use? What is the best programming language? Well, let me ask you, what is the best human spoken language? I guess it would depend entirely upon what you want to do. I would be inclined to say that if you wanted to swear, you might want to choose to swear in French, because French is a very flowing and smooth sort of language, and everything sounds beautiful in French, even if it is crass swear words. I might be inclined to say that if you wanted to get down on one knee and propose to your beloved, you might not want to do it in German, because German has a lot of consonants in it and can sound very hard and harsh, even if you're professing your love to your beloved. So what programming language would be the best language to learn? And again, it depends entirely upon it depends on what you'd like to do with it. So if you turn in your book to page 469, you're going to see an example of some of the languages and some of the things that they were created to do. So let's say, for instance, you might want to use assembly if you were going to write an operating system because it's really good at controlling hardware. COBOL is also the language of the mainframe. Fortran was originally created for engineering and scientific projects. Java and JavaScript work really well or on the internet. Pascal was created originally to teach people how to program, and Visual Basic gives you a visual front end to a programming language called BASIC. So out of all of these programming languages that you can learn, students come to me and they say, which programming language should I focus on? Outside the ones that you will learn within this program, such as Java and C++, are there other languages that you should learn? And my suggestion to you is, don't take my word for it. Instead, what you should probably do is find out, what would you like to do in computer science? If you want to be a programmer, what do you want to do? Do you want to design video games? Do you want to be a web designer? Do you want to be a graphic animation? Or do you want to write operating systems? Or where do you want to work? And what would you like to do? And then I would have you do job searches in those particular fields. If you want to be a game designer, go to some game employers and find out what they want you to know. Find out the programming languages that they would have you have. If you want to work for Disney, go on Disney's job boards and find out what skills and experience and what programming languages they want you to have to get employed there. So I would go out and do job searches in the field that I would like to have, in the jobs that I would like to have, and see what the employer would like me to know. Once I've decided on a language or several languages that I would like to learn, we're going to find out that there's a variety of tools that are available to us to help us program. And they're called IDEs, Integrated Developers Environments. And they pull together a lot of the pieces and parts that help us program better. For instance, when we were writing HTML code, we used a text editor to type in all of our programming language, and then we used a browser to read the program that we had written, called a web page. So if I'm going to write a program, I need some kind of a text editor to type the programming language in. I need some kind of a compiler or an interpreter that will turn it into a language that the machine can understand. I need some kind of a run environment so I can see what happens when I run it. It would be helpful if it would offer me some tools for error checking, version control, things like that. IDEs, Integrated Developer Environments, are tools that allow me to do this, and there are a variety of them that are available to me. For instance, you can use JGrasp or NetBeans or Eclipse or Visual Studio or some of the more common ones. And it also depends upon the language that you want to develop in. For instance, JGrasp, which is an IDE, supports Java and C and C++ and Python and Objective-C. NetBeans also supports Java. Eclipse supports Java and is really popular for use in Android development. Visual Studio supports Visual Basic and C# and C++ and Python, but it does not support Java. And so, depending upon the language that you want to develop in, then you're going to choose an IDE that supports that particular language. Regardless of the language that you choose or the IDE that you're going to develop in, programming starts at problem solving and critical thinking skills. And so that is where we're going to begin the conversation.